podcast world.
Hello. Welcome to
Turn of the Millennials, no.
Don't Ya Know?
Yeah. The Turn of the Millennials podcast.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Lindy.
And welcome to Turn of the Millennials, in case you didn't hear what we were saying before.
Those were terrible Minnesotan accents.
We'll get it later, don't you worry. And we have a
Very special guest today.
with a disclaimer first, actually. We'll do a disclaimer first, just in
Okay.
case. To the people of Minnesota, we love you and we are not offending you.
We're trying not to.
We are just in appreciation of your accents, and from the movie, we just have to do it in that way.
Yes.
And on that note,
We
we
do
have
love you.
We have a guest star today. This is my sister, all the way from Nova Scotia. My sister Danielle.
Hi.
Oh, that was sad.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not really sure how to start because I'm still kind of like trying not to laugh too hard because I mean we know those hard Minnesotan accents are going to come out.
Oh,
So-
the whole episode.
The whole episode.
That happened a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically Danielle and Lindy knew each other first.
Mhm.
And
We
then,
actually went to middle school together, but we weren't friends until about the 9th grade.
Yeah.
Yes.
so
Is
I
that-
think we mentioned, I think in our Josie and the Pussycats, they met through a friend Michelle, and then unfortunately Michelle moved away, and then they became friends, and then the trailer, and then
History.
we all became along.
Yeah. So that is very brief history and how we know Danielle. Well, they're sisters. So
Yeah,
they
we're
know
sisters,
each
and
other
that's how we
from
all know
birth.
Lindy.
I mean, I've known Stephanie since like 1985. I mean, not to brag.
Well, the story, I met Danielle before I met Steph. So today on our podcast,
We're talking about Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yes. I don't know even remember how we found this movie. I think we found it on DVD. We didn't see it in theaters.
Actually, I know when I saw it first. I think I was at a birthday party, either Tiffany or Katie's house.
Okay.
I remember Andrea was there too. I can't remember if Lindy was there or not, and I think Catherine was there. And it was just one of the
And
movies
I
we
probably
watched.
was there.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the movies we watched at the sleepover.
I'm just having a hard time remembering this. What?
Yeah,
And then
I just saw it before because we had I think we had like the TMN box. I think you talked about before on the podcast.
those brown, Rogers TMN boxes. Yeah, illegal boxes back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your precursor to this torrent was to
Yeah.
have
Right?
a cable hookup.
Oh,
man. So this movie came out in July of 1999. I actually found 3 different July dates for its release.
I found
all
the
for the States.
23rd, 1999.
I found the 23rd, the 16th, and the 9th.
I wonder if maybe they were different, like premieres or like
Maybe.
regional releases.
Probably.
Like maybe Minnesota got it beforehand.
Minnesota.
Japan, we'll catch that later.
So
You just can't not say Minnesota. I'm sorry.
this movie is a mockumentary shot style movie about the
50th anniversary,
50th anniversary
of the Sarah Rose American Teen Princess Pageant.
Sarah Rose Cosmetics.
And this one takes place following the small town of Mount Rose,
Rose,
Minnesota.
the fictional small town.
Yes, the
It's
fictional.
an anagram from Rosemount.
So Danielle's tidbit, we'll let her do it.
So basically, this movie was written by Lana Williams. She also was a script supervisor on The Simpsons, but kind of always talked about how she did these pageants in the past. So the first thing you probably would have actually seen her in was the episode of The Simpsons, Lisa the Beauty Queen.
I was gonna
She
say
wrote
that episode.
And she was also the voice of Amber Dempsey, which I think is hilarious. Remember, she had eyelash extensions, but you know what's really funny? Like now, like that's the norm. Like go get your, lashes done.
I know a lot of people who have eyelash extensions.
But on your child. Still
Yeah.
true.
So she is from the town
Rosemount.
Rosemount. Sorry,
So that's why Mount
Rosemount.
Rose became the anagram. Yep.
Exactly. And then the other thing that's really cool too is that she actually did write Sugar and Spice, the movie.
Yes, I
But
did.
she
I
had
did
that
see that. I did see
Have
that.
her name taken off of it, which is unfortunate. And it's
So
really
it's
sad-
a non-existent Mandy Nelson as the screenwriter.
right. And it feels like that she kind of had the same thing that happened with when you were talking about Josie and the Pussycats, where Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elephant were, had two kind of good movies, but because they didn't do as well, they kind of just got disinterested in Hollywood. And I'm almost feeling like that's the same way with Lana Williams. Like after Sugar and Spice, you don't really hear anything. And if Lana Williams is
I love Sugar and Spice. That was such a good movie.
There was an article actually I found in my researchings or whatever that she actually did an interview on. And she was saying that actually with Sugar and Spice, the script ended up getting changed so much because it was around the time of Columbine. And the fact that they're high school girls, guns, yada. So it ended up getting changed so much that it also wasn't her original script. So that's why she actually changed and took her name off of it. Yeah. This is what I was reading in the article that I had found.
But I feel like this movie, like especially like Drop Dead Gorgeous. I mean, I've been like putting it on the internet. Y'all been putting it on the internet that we're going to talk about it. And I was like, oh, I love this movie. And it's almost a cult classic. And I almost wish if somehow like in some sort of medium she could come back, because if I can imagine the type of humor that we got from Drop Dead Gorgeous, and don't even get me started on the non-existent, like we can't find them anymore, but like the deleted scenes. There are deleted scenes I know I've seen in the trailer that aren't in the final movie.
And they weren't on either of your DVDs?
My DVD does not have any.
Neither does mine.
Okay.
Mine does.
Because I know you have different ones, because she has a snap open case and you have the cardboard with the little small plastic flap. Because you both posted pictures today of your covers and your DVDs. And I was like, why did Danielle post Lindy's? And I looked and I was like, oh no, you can see the little flap difference there.
Did you also see where like the cat scratched away at the complete like end of the
and I feel just like wear and tear over the years at that cardboard from moving or just opening.
Oh no, this is from Carrie, because I used to have a big stack of DVDs and she liked to scratch on them, so I had to hide them somewhere.
Of course, cats.
But anyways, what I was kind of saying is I think it would be amazing for like Lana Williams to kind of bring that humor back, because I do feel like our generation kind of can enjoy that mockumentary dark humor.
And it's the dark humor that's in it. So you've kind of like that's just, and it kind of need it.
It's almost an example of that type of humor that I kind of talked to you guys about, where it's like it's a hard line to stay with. Philly does it a lot, like Seinfeld did a lot, where essentially the whole, or even Family Guy to an extent, where the joke is we're laughing at that person because that person is a bad person and they're doing bad things, and we're laughing at them because they're ignorant and stupid.
Yes.
I feel like that type of humor is being lost now because they don't want to offend anybody. But we'll definitely touch onto this in this, because
there's
so much offensiveness in this movie I found.
And I feel bad I laughed at some of it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I'm a terrible person.
But we also know that it is in the context of humor. We also like, we're not getting offended because we can take humor into what it is. And actually there's a really good documentary about the Comedy Store on Crave, if you've seen it, where they actually kind of talk about, and it was filmed, the last episode's filmed during COVID time, so they're actually talking about recently now how comedy is hard to do because of these exact same things about offending and yada yada yada. Really good, check it out. But so fun fact, this was actually called Dairy Queens. And I don't know if you remember seeing this in like a article in like Twist magazine or something called Dairy Queens. But of course, obviously, because of the chain Dairy Queen, they filed a lawsuit and they had to change it to Drop Dead Gorgeous. And
which I think works better.
I agree. And
just before you do that, can we also talk about the irony of the fact that we're doing this podcast about a pageant on today, which is April 25th. It's not too cold. I need a light jacket.
I don't know what it's like in Nova Scotia. Today it's like cold and rainy. It's crappy out.
No, today is literally the definition of that. It's supposed to rain later tonight, but this morning it was definitely that.
Oh, okay. No, we got it. It's a
light
little
jacket
brisk.
Weather.
It's a little brisk today. 4 degrees.
I wish that we had snow when we went into lockdown like you guys did.
No, we didn't have it when we went into lockdown.
No, like when you started that
during lockdown.
Wasn't that there like you had a heart? It doesn't matter. Anyways, continue. Yeah. Who cares about lockdowns? We're happy.
So the estimated budget for this was $15 million, and the worldwide gross was $10.5 million, to 46% tomato meter and 75% audience score. And yeah, like I said, basically it became a cult classics, and critics called it ahead of its time. And there was some stuff about Roger Ebert, but I hated his criticisms anyway, so it didn't matter. And he was basically something like, oh, it could have potential, but the script wasn't just great there. Whatever. Anyways.
I found on Metacritic, it was a 28%.
Oh, 28% on Metacritic.
Yeah, I'm like,
Well,
whatever.
we even with the ducks, we same
Yeah, I
thing. We
know.
had really
That's true.
lame ones. So
Yeah, they're
Oh.
I noticed you don't have like their opening box office weekend numbers there.
I couldn't find
I
that.
found him 3,986,269 on opening weekend.
3 million. That's not
Yeah.
so great. Not so great.
And
Against the what
that
budget?
by today's numbers,
Opening numbers.
that's opening weekend numbers. By today's
Standards?
like by today's dollars,
Inflation?
yeah, it would have been over $19 million by today's inflation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird. Also, it passes the Bechdel test. So I was reading that in my things
That is
because
exciting.
the women are not chased. There's no, if you think about it, the only mention of a guy is Brett Samuels. Is Brett Samuels? Brett Samuels.
No,
Yeah.
Brett Sanders, not Samuels, because you're thinking of Mean Girls. I know it's Brett.
But Brett. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Brett.
so basically, they're all chasing for the crown, not chasing after a man. And in most of the screen, like, think of how many men are actually in this movie. You barely see the dads or the parent, the dad, except for Lester Lehman. But like Brett's only in like 2 scenes. Her, Amy Adams's boyfriend or whatever it is, Leslie Miller's boyfriend's only in like 2 scenes. I know there's the crew and then that, but like most of it is female.
The judges.
And like the older, like there's usually like the wrestling team was in a lot of scenes
Mhm.
being ogled by the older women.
Yep.
Like,
Especially where she's like, hey.
yeah.
Say
Hey
hi
to
to
the
the Hey to the folks. Yep, exactly. Women ogling men for once instead of men ogling women. So it easily passed the Bechdel test, which I found that was fun in my researches.
And then Harold and Larry. Like,
Hank.
I know.
So I was reading actually about Will Sasso. There was a lot of people that to this day, when they go and meet him, don't realize that he's unfortunately not mentally handicapped. Because he plays it so well in that movie. They were surprised to be like, I didn't realize you weren't mentally handicapped.
that tells me they're sheltered and should get out more and watch
It
more
is,
TV.
but at the same time, like, you know.
He's a phenomenal actor.
Oh yeah.
And
well, at the very beginning, let's start at the very beginning of this movie.
So
Adam West,
Right?
She had that thing too.
I'm just like, how did they get Adam West? Like Adam West.
few
West.
celebrities.
Well, it was a very star-studded movie.
Right? There were quite a
In
like
hindsight,
hey,
yeah.
in hindsight, yes, many of them became very famous. And there were a few stars in their own rights at that time, like Kirstie Alley, Brittany Murphy, like they were still kind of had their
Should we give a quick thing of the cast?
Yes.
Okay, so there's Kirstie Alley, Allison Janney, Kirsten Dunst, Denise Richards, Will Sasso, Brittany Murphy, Amy Adams, Mindy Sterling, Ellen Barkin, Sam McMurray, and Alexandra Holden, to name a few.
Yeah. And
Probably
there's
more than I
also
missed. But
Amanda Detmer is when I saw too.
Yeah, she plays
at the end
because she was
the,
later in Sugar and Spice and that.
because she's the blonde chick at the end. She's like, oh, I gotta go.
But her, the girl who plays Mary Sue Johansson as well. She was in like Sugar and Spice and stuff. I can't remember what her name was.
She said Alexandra Holden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They basically go into the town.
Like,
yeah,
They
they start off talking about the town, and it's got a population of just over 5,000 people and change.
That damn Frida sign.
Yeah,
Freaking
take
Kirstie
down that
Alley.
Frida sign, them sons of bitches.
Lazy sons of bitches. And then there's Kirstie Alley, where it's like, you won't find no back room in our video store.
No, you won't.
That's better left for the Sin Cities. They have the same pal.
Oh
God, Minnesota's gonna kill us.
No, we did a disclaimer. It's okay.
I know we did, but still.
We love them. We, like I say, we do it out of love, not out of hate or, jest.
Admiration.
Yeah. And we have our own accents to deal with too, so it doesn't even matter.
We slightly sound like that.
And people say I picked up an Atlantic accent, but I don't really hear it.
So the Mall of America that they go to is actually not the Mall of America. It is the Eden Prairie Mall, which is also used in Mallrats.
That's one of my tidbits. I don't think it's actually
just
on
the
my list
parking
here.
lot.
Yeah, just the parking.
Yeah.
Too bad the Mall of America didn't have the parking lot to go. Parking lot of America.
If a cripple comes, I'll move.
Right?
Well, that's my next thing here.
All get out of the car. They all get out of the car. So how are you going to move when you're all out of the car?
If someone who needs that spot, like, come on.
Well, here's one of my things as we were kind of going through that was typical small town attitudes of the late 90s. Kind of opened my mind to what is acceptable. So like the whole use of the hard R or
Yep.
with
It
the
said
tea.
so many times you can make a drinking game out of it.
It was also, I guess, kind of in that time again, in reflective of it. It's not like it should have been right to say, but it was more acceptable to
'Cause
say the word
I
in the
think
late
in
90s.
the late 80s, early 90s,
in
it was
19
definitely like frowned upon, and then kind of like later 90s, it kind of, instead of becoming a derogatory term to people with mental illness, it kind of became more
Like,
like
that's
oh,
stupid.
stupid.
Yeah.
Not trying to justify it, but people who, I understand where
Like,
Yeah, instead of saying that's stupid, they were like, that's,
Yeah.
for lack of not saying it, retarded.
I
Not
was
wanting to condone it, but that,
I
Yeah.
was 16 when this movie came out. We were 16 when this movie came out. And even we knew better than to use that word
Yes.
referencing anything.
yes.
Oh yeah.
But small town
Yeah.
America mentality.
And I'm probably
unfortunately.
biased on that because my mom's an EA. So I grew
Yes.
up with children that would be described as that back then.
Yes.
And I just don't like that term.
Yeah.
No, I get that completely. And then of course I'll move the car when a cripple came. Like that was another part of like under the small town, or not small town necessarily, but just kind of like
Ignorant.
the etymology of what was acceptable.
The
Well,
entitlement.
it wasn't even acceptable back then. It's again going back to that comedy of like, look at those people. Oh my god, I can't believe they described someone with handicaps as a cripple. Let's laugh at them.
Like, look at how stupid they are. They should
Yeah.
know better.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that was the dark humor undertone of the movie.
Yeah, you're laughing at their ignorance, not the fact that they referred to someone as that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The football team was actually named the Muskies. I found this, which is the muskellunge
Muskellunge. Yeah.
fish found in North Minnesota, which derives from the Ojibwe word for ugly pike.
I have that right there.
I thought that was
Oh,
funny.
Muskies.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
of course, because
that's
it's an ugly fish.
Yeah.
Like,
There's been a few faces we've all done, which if you made that, you're like,
right. Another thing I didn't realize, obviously, until now, rewatching it back, the narrator is Thomas Lennon.
Who's Thomas Lennon?
He's in 17 again. He plays the nerd friend of Zac Efron when they get older. He was in Reno 911.
Oh, he was in How I Met Your Mother. He was the German guy
Yes.
that Victoria almost married. Klaus.
So
Yes, there's a Klaus in my
and
class.
now that I listened to it, I was like, oh my gosh, that is totally his voice. But I didn't realize that was
Huh.
his voice now until
That
I read these.
That never
Huh?
registered when I was watching it this morning because I was up at 6 o'clock.
Well, I found it out in the middle of watching it. So as I started watching it, I found it out. I was like, oh my God,
You
that
recognized
is
it?
so that is
Mhm.
him.
Something that I thought, like, rewatching it this morning, I was like, I guess I kind of glazed over the first several hundred times I've watched this movie. Is the girl that has Japanese parents? The white girl was adopted by a Japanese couple because the Japanese couple wants to be American,
Americanized.
like Americanized, like uber American, and I'm just like
they almost become the stereotype of the Japanese tourists because they want
Yeah.
to make so much.
yeah.
Yeah. And then the daughter comes in and she's like, oh, and then she spilled chicken in Chinese or whatever. Or
No, it's Japanese.
Sorry, Japanese. And then,
Hirohito.
yes, he's like, speak English.
Like,
Although I think, doesn't he use the word again there too?
Yes, he does.
Yes.
And also, here's a fun thing.
The
they
R
wanted to-
word. He uses it unfortunately
yeah.
again in that part when he's
Yep.
referring to his daughter. And were you
Yes,
gonna
I got it right here. I got it right
was?
here.
Okay.
So Japanese superstar Seiko Matsuda was fit into the movie after the studio New Line had sold its international rights to the film and wanted to appease to Japanese filmgoers. So as a popular pop star, ended up with a small role as the sister of Molly Howard.
oh.
And I'm happy to be an Asian American. But that's a whole other like rabbit hole right now.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
Asian
Yes.
hate.
Let's avoid that hole right now.
No,
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
hate for anybody. We love
We love everybody.
and we hate everybody equally.
Well, one thing I did want to follow up on here, it's a little actually A&TM connection. I noticed that like Raina from Cycle 14, I don't know if you remember Cycle 14, that
No.
was Angelique's season. How can you forget Angelique's season?
Because I haven't watched America's Next Top Model in like a dozen years.
CBS All Access,
Yeah,
$5.99
I'm
a
okay
month.
with. I'm just
Anyway,
saying.
so
Survivor.
Rain, that's okay. Raina from Cycle 14
Keep you busy for
was
a while.
often compared to Denise Richards. And it's really funny because Raina was actually from Minnesota, so I thought that was just a funny little connection that she looked like Denise Richards, and Denise Richards in this movie, I think, was in Minnesota, and I just have way too much useful information.
Yeah, that's why we kind of started the podcast as well. And I'm sure you'll be on it many more times because of stupid, useless information. But not stupid at this point. It was stupid, a few years ago because we're just like, what do we do with this information? But now we got a podcast,
Yeah.
so it's not stupid anymore. And it's
Yeah.
not useless. It's useful.
Oh yeah.
So
The,
back to the movie.
the auditions. Did anyone have audition notes?
The only one I had was that Melissa Joan Hart audition for the role of Amber Atkins.
I also saw that Sarah Michelle Gellar went for Becky.
Yes, but yeah,
Mhm.
I saw that too. I just
And then they originally saw Goldie Hawn for Annette and Sigourney Weaver for Gladys.
I had that too somewhere.
They were who they originally
Right
wanted.
here.
Yeah.
Right there. Oh no, it wasn't. That was
And then
never mind. I'll say that later.
so we were talking about star power and like
Yeah.
just those two, like Goldie Hawn and Sigourney Weaver, again, two
Oh.
big stars that they could have had.
Mhm.
Melissa
Oh,
Joan
yeah.
Hart, I believe at the time was still pretty big and Sarah Michelle Gellar were both big from their teen shows.
Mhm.
Sabrina and Buffy, yeah.
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 So they would have more star power again. But again, Kirsten Dunst was pretty, and Brittany Murphy was pretty high.
I
Clueless.
really liked Kirsten Dunst growing up. I loved her in Interview with a Vampire, and I've
Yep.
just followed her career since. I think she's amazing. And I love super 90s, her like dancing down the highway, listening to her Walkman.
Yes.
Like just
Yes. Tap dancing.
I do have tap dance is underrated and should come back.
Oh, definitely. It's totally underrated.
I was
Tapping
doing
is
tap.
awesome.
I was doing tap classes at a local studio here, and I
Oh, I
found
saw
there's
that.
another one that does adult tap classes. So there's at least two in Kitchener-Waterloo that do adult tap classes. So it is still there.
I have I forget who says it. I think it was Amber. Maybe it was Amy Adams, where they said it was Amber. The only way to get out of this town was with a hockey scholarship or prison if you're a guy.
Yeah.
And for a girl, it's the pageant.
Amber says that.
Like, how sad is that?
Well, I'm
Guys
just
get
gonna
out all
kind
the
of
time.
You know, hockey scholarships or
prison.
The funny thing is back, I don't know if you've brought this up on previous podcasts yet, but obviously we've mentioned tap dance. So me and my sister did dance back in the day. And one of the major studios that we had to compete against, Larkin, guess where they're based out of?
Minnesota.
I know, what the hell is with Minnesota being so competitive? Like they got the Shattuck St. Mary's, they got this place. Like it's just kind of funny all the Minnesota connections, especially considering you did Mighty Ducks and now this.
Right. Well, they're based. Okay. Not very offending, but like Lindsay says with like her in New York, it's like Canada Light. Minnesota is kind of sort of like Canada Junior, Canada Light, or we're influenced because we're just so close and they're cold, just like us.
They
So
call it pop.
They understand it like
pop.
us.
They call it pop.
Yeah. So they're just like, they're kind of like us.
It's cool. Doreen gave us hair nets.
Right? Really, Loretta? My
Oh,
mom wanted me to
yeah.
have this. That's later on in the movie. We'll get
Don't
to that.
ever have kids, Loretta.
Oh, God love you for thinking I still could try.
And then so we have a couple of RIPs in this movie. Obviously, we have Adam
Brittany
West, who
Murphy.
passed
Brittany
away,
Murphy.
and Brittany Murphy.
Who did you say?
Adam West
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Adam West.
and Brittany Murphy.
Brittany
Yeah.
Murphy.
And I would also love to meet Peter as Liza, Madonna, and
Oh, sure. Me too.
Fire Breath. So essentially what we're seeing there, it sounds like Lisa Swenson's brother was just a drag queen.
Well, she
Right.
yells it at her dad at the end of the movie where he's gay.
Yeah, but gay and drag queen are different things, but
This is
I
true.
understand completely.
Oh, that's
that.
true.
But,
Yeah.
That's very true.
but back then it kind of all was like one.
It was kind of all lumped
Yeah.
into it because we weren't aware, we weren't,
Nope.
we don't have the focal point that we have now. And sometimes they even had the unfortunate derogatoriness with drag queens being trans and
Mhm.
all of the terribleness that came in the media with.
I was just continuing
Eh.
on. Can I just say like how brilliant it was for them to name their judge that has pedophilia tendencies as John Doe?
Yeah.
Felt like kneading dough, like DOUGH dough.
So I saw a poor tidbit about this guy.
Matthew
Oh
Malloy.
boy.
Yeah, so when he goes out, because and the same thing about Alice and Janney, it's kind of their most known roles in like ever. So
Aw.
sometimes kids will go up to him and not even like say anything and like point and be like, "You're the pedophile," and he has to be like, "No, in a movie." So he's happy that people recognize him, but he has to be like, no, I'm not a pedophile. I played this pedophile-esque in the movie. It was a movie, but unfortunately people sought him out. And Allison Janney has said that of all of her fans, this is the movie she gets like called out for the most,
Mhm.
which I agree. Now that Moms is on, I love it, but I would still be like, I found you in Drop Dead Gorgeous and you were hilarious. I loved Loretta always.
But
Oh,
did we
Alice and
find-
Jenny's easily like top
Yeah.
One of my top favorite actresses.
Yeah.
But was she in 10 Things I Hate About You first before this one? I think
Yes,
so.
exactly. So we
Yeah.
we kind of knew her from that, and then this one. So it was like we just knew she was hilarious.
She's so funny.
And the other thing I mentioned is that everybody needs a friend like Loretta, and I feel like I try to fit that role in my life around here. You know, the one that'll be like, who will tell you how it is.
Mhm.
You know, she gave up her relationships, her tummy, ass, and thighs to bring you into this world.
Yep.
So we all need that friend.
Setting their kids straight.
In that scene, that's the hospital scene, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
their house blows up.
The candy striper. That was originally supposed to be
Me, Lana Williams.
Lana, her part. She wrote it for herself to be in the movie, but the director did not like that. He's like, "Oh, you're too old for that part. You can't play that part." So she actually ends up playing the third judge that doesn't actually speak.
Talk.
And she was so disappointed. She was a little disappointed too because she's like, I wrote it for me. I can't be too old for the part. Like, what are you talking about?
That's why she looks so sad and depressed in her role.
Probably. I wouldn't put it past it.
Like
that
she's
would be
drawing
my
on her real life experience of how depressing that was.
Yeah, that would be my motivation too.
So basically, let's kind of get back to the plot of the story. It's getting a whole hot. Like I'm bad for it too. We're getting hot. So like essentially what we got is, you know, Mount Rose, Minnesota. We got a pageant. Girls like if you're 17, you're not full of fresh. That's what you do.
Mhm.
And then we are introduced to, I guess, our first casualty, Tammy Curry.
Tammy Curry.
She only liked to smoke after a good drive.
Mhm.
And then that kind of goes to the cops thing. Like it's so funny. Like like
the dumb, ignorant state troopers.
Yeah, you know, bad wiring, smoking and driving.
After further investigation.
So, and then from at that point,
the next one I think was Brett, wasn't it?
And
yeah,
well, because she was basically there with the list
because he was flirting with Amber,
the Lutheran sister, because she wanted to be the president of the Lutheran Sister Club, and Tammy always wins everything, so that's why she had to die.
Yeah.
Well, she was also going to take away the pageant, right? Because she
always wins everything, which is why she had to go.
Why she had to go because she was in the pageant. Yeah. And then we learned Leslie Miller, who was Amy Adams, and it was her first role. Most of the girls, actually, apart from the few like celebrity names, were actually locally sourced from Minnesota girls because they wanted them to look like it. And I guess apparently at the time the thin eyebrows was the trend, and they wanted the more thick eyebrows on women or whatever because that would have been more hardy Minnesota girls. Mm-hmm. So that's why they had to kind of stick to the area because I guess LA was all thin eyebrows.
Speaking of Leslie Miller, the character, there is so much slut shaming for her just because she happens to be a pretty girl who enjoys things.
Right? Oh yeah.
It's Penthouse 95. I can drive a showboat.
I mean, it's still an issue. Like
promiscuous is what they would have called her back then.
Girl does the same thing as a guy. He gets called a hero. She gets called a whore. It hasn't changed.
So
it needs to.
But hey, I like the fact that she kind of owns it. Like even like later on,
she does. She's not ashamed of her things, but it just everyone else around her kind of has the.
I think she's kind of oblivious to it, though. She's oblivious to the judgment.
She's oblivious to everything, and that's what's awesome. Yeah, that's what's awesome. Yeah, she just lives her life for what she loves, and she just goes forward doing that. Because like she like. At the end where they spoiler alert, but at the end where it's like they like the beauty school, and then she was working her way, and then how did she end up getting lost in the Philippines? Clearly
human trafficking,
or just because she just was someone who wanted to travel and had an opportunity or something, like
that too.
What is it? Broke Down Palace.
I love that movie.
Weird things happen overseas.
I love how that movie ends. It's so captivating.
So the other thing I mentioned about some of the contestants is like if Becky, I guess, spoiler alert, Swanee baby, if Becky Lehman didn't die, she would have made a great Republican wife. Like when she's doing those answers about how a great community with strong Christian trunks.
Yeah, that was my
long leafy branches to provide shade on a hot summer day.
That was my third comment. I wrote uber right wing, super religious, super pro America. But yeah, okay, so naming the death. So Brett gets killed, he gets shot in the head on a hunting accident.
Yep.
Right, because he was flirting with Amber at school. And then the next death was or not death, but when Amber's trailer gets blown up. And her mom gets blown through the window.
No, I think Janelle
before. Because remember they
the light?
Yeah,
that was after the fire.
Because she was in the same room as my mom. She's in the room with my mom.
Yeah, she's in the room beside my mom. And I did all of my notes in order. So as I was watching. But yeah, like all this stuff, like all this evidence and everything like that. And the cops are just like the fucking picture of Tammy that Amber gets in her locker, and on the back it says "You're next." Give that to the fucking cops, Amber.
Right?
Like, come on.
Well, but the cops, after further investigation, would you give it to the cops then? Like, they clearly don't do their job in Melrose,
Remember
Minnesota.
bad wiring for the
Bad
explosion?
wiring and yeah,
Bullshit.
I
Like, I
wouldn't
love
give
that
it
her-
to the police either.
Her beer can gets fused to her
Yeah,
hand.
Yeah.
ruin a brand new pair of Lee press-ons
Why do they have to wait so long to amputate it?
because
They had to get her stable. They say we gotta get her stable before we deal with this. They take off the thing and then they
Yeah.
show you.
Oh, right. Okay. I guess I missed that.
You'd
part.
have to, you have to go into surgery and stuff like that, and you
Yeah.
want them to be good. And there's
Yeah.
it's a whole science.
You
It's a
know,
whole-
she
being a doctor.
knows how lawn dart feels.
So when the pageant girls go through like their interview process and they're all shuffled into that like bar,
Yeah.
I guess, for lack of a better word. And
Yeah, there's a
so they're
restaurant
asked their
bar.
questions, and Amy Adams gets asked like, who would you vote for president? And she said
Here.
Brett Favre.
You said that back then the first time we saw it too, I remember.
Even though it's Minnesota,
But
which is surprising, she would say Brett Favre for being in Minnesota.
right. But I've changed my opinion because I have found that him and I have opposite political views. So I'm no longer excited about that.
Well, you could still like the player for the player, just not for his views.
No, dude, just like
No?
he needs to
Okay.
retire.
But you have to
Oh,
admit
yes,
that
yes, yes.
interview
He
Yeah.
definitely needs
Yeah.
to retire.
That interview scene is hilarious though, because you got John Doe basically, giving him creep face.
The hard R word has his pants open.
Yeah. Oh God.
He's
The-
just looking happy the whole
pants are
time too.
completely off. Yeah. Or like name and spell all the United States in alphabetical
Hey.
order.
He did that in 3.5
Seriously?
minutes. That's impressive.
That is.
Well, because at first she was just like,
Spell
is this
and
serious?
in
So
alphabetical order.
she's slow at first, but then towards the end, she's like, all right, well, I got to do this. So she's like,
So she's like cheerleaders through.
yep, might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love their caboodle kits when they're getting ready in like the hallway with like the lit up dressing room. They have she sets her
What?
caboodle kit. She pulls out her Aquanet hairspray.
Yep.
One of my favorite Leslie Miller lines is here when she's talking about when he asks if she's nervous.
Oh yeah, and she's
Yeah,
like,
I don't know,
2
see,
months. I don't know.
I
What
don't
to
have
tell
tell my
him.
boyfriend.
How did you know?
I mean, about the
nervous
pageant.
about the pageant.
Pageant.
And that scene just showed me how great Amy Adams was as an actress because you could feel it in her face.
There's
Like that.
a reason her star rose so high.
Fun thing about that I did find about my travels in this research, she was raised as a member of the Mormon church
Oh, poor her.
until her parents divorced in 1985 and left the church. She did not have strong religious beliefs, but she said that she valued her upbringing for teaching her love and compassion. And I thought that
That
was
sounds like
funny because
us.
it's very similar to us. We stopped going after like the age of 8 or 9, but I still am like, I'm a good person, but I don't know if I would believe in what they believe in anymore. But I got like values from it. So I thought it
But-
was kind of funny because it was similar to us.
Speaking
Yeah.
of sort of the same topic, Kirstie Alley, when she was doing Gladys's wardrobe fittings and things like
Yep.
that, she had the wardrobe sent to the Scientology Celebrity Center in Hollywood to try them on.
Yep.
Why?
Probably because Scientology probably needed the approval and things like that or whatever and
Cult.
different things. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, well,
So-
we won't get into
yeah.
that, but yeah.
So anyway, when they are in the back and like in their little dressing area, like getting ready and stuff, I think it was Loretta comes up and gives Amber a dress. And she's like, oh, it's beautiful, and blah, 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 just like Diane Sawyer would wear. And she goes, oh, but not my girl. She goes, not a size 10. It's like, way to go, fat shame Diane Sawyer.
No, she
That's
was,
because she was a little hippie back
Not
then.
our
remember?
girl.
That's the line.
Yeah. Size 10. Come on. Like, I'm a 12 and
Yeah.
screw you.
Well, I guess that part, when that background part is right before they're doing like the practice. So that's when Janelle gets knocked out.
And it's
And
just,
then she had
Sorry.
to change numbers.
yeah.
Because of the dead baby. Okay, this is a legit question I have. Would you know a baby is deaf at birth?
yes, there are certain, well, I don't think right at birth,
'Cause,
but-
like,
or
the-
maybe a little bit after, because I believe there's tests that they do on a baby after a little bit.
Yeah.
So-
They flip like the bottom of their feet. and
Yeah,
play
there's
with their
different
hands.
there's different little tests that they do to make
Yeah.
sure their reflexes are kind of off in
there.
there and that.
like reflexes, but like hearing. Because if I'm remembering, like, Mr. Holland's opus. Oh, let's go back there. Didn't they not find out until he was like almost a toddler that he was deaf?
Yeah, because they were fighting in the kitchen
Yeah.
and they
But
stopped and they're like, you
that-
don't want
that
to
was my
upset him.
legit
He's not even
question.
reacting. And that's how they realized he was deaf.
So she's like, my cousin just had a deaf baby. And I guess my legit question was, do you know if at birth the baby is deaf? So if any listeners are in the medical profession and would like to, let us know, that'd be great.
You know what? That thought crossed my mind too. I'm just like, how would they know that? Like it's brand, like newborn, like right out of the vagina. Brand new. How do you know it's deaf?
Yeah, that I feel like would be a couple days after you would,
Because it would still
realize
cry,
that.
would it not?
Yeah,
Like,
most likely. Yeah.
I don't know.
probably
Yeah.
still.
Any medical
'Cause
experts
I
out
think-
there, let us know.
I feel like just the crying is just a natural reaction
Yeah,
for
me
what's
too.
happening in there. It's
Yeah.
not like because there's still all this other trauma that's going on.
Like I would assume
not
they
just
would
the
do
hearing.
like this kind of stuff, but I mean, a baby's reactions they're not that quick. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know.
medical experts out there, let's know.
Anyways,
Just don't forget, everybody, we owe our life to that deaf baby.
Yes, that's
I have to say, and you're gonna roll your eyes at this, but when they were talking about Gladys's reign when the year she won in 1983, they started off mentioning Queen.
Yeah,
They don't actually say the band; they just say a group of boys from Britain were topping the charts in 1983.
No, a band of boys calling themselves Queen.
Oh right, they did mention it. Yeah.
And the a peanut farmer was in the White House.
Gladys Knight, or Gladys Lehman was Gladys Knight, or
No, Gladys Wood.
Gladys Wood. Gladys Knight's the singer. Gladys Wood, and Butterick
Yeah.
Pattern.
She got a big ass then. She got a big ass now. So there are obviously some body shaming, but come on, it's Gladys Lehman.
Yeah.
She deserves it. I'm just kidding. No one deserves any body shaming. And then this is Melissa Manchester songs are featured twice in the movie. I didn't realize the second one. We all know the first one
until I
Cry Out
did the
Loud.
research.
Yeah, so we know Don't Cry Out Loud.
Yeah.
The other one was Through the Eyes of Love. When she's gonna do an interpretive dance.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Is
have
she
a
the one that got
dream.
hit in the head
With the deaf,
Yeah.
with the deaf baby. Yeah.
because she switched.
Studying sign language around the world. I'm not actually knowing sign language. I could be staring to get deaf people, and I apologize, but that's a great scene.
Mhm. So then, like, Amber's like tap costume gets stolen, and like her and like, or she tries to like get a thing replaced. Or is that when she has that fight with Becky, right? Because she thinks Becky stole her tap
her
costume.
top costume. Yeah.
And they're just like, oh man, that was funny. She's like, bring it on.
Yeah, like my mother says it's Sunday dinner.
Yeah,
Come and get it. Oh, I'll get it. I'll get seconds.
I hate her. I know. We all hate her.
She's like, this place is like Nazi Germany.
Oh, that
that's
was about
until
the tab
later.
costume.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
No, but it was a different part. That's
Oh,
when
was
she's
it
getting
like
it
later? Oh, it's
when
because
she's getting it.
they wouldn't let her replace it.
Yeah, she's like, the rules. They
just the
have to be
leotard.
approved. And she's like, this is Nazi Germany.
So just before I get into that big deal about the costume, I did want to mention. So one of the chick, I don't think it was is her name Tess, the one who's like the actress?
Why?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
Tess.
No,
Whitehouse
Tess is
was the
dog chick. Oh my god, we gotta talk about her. She's awesome. But anyways, did you notice that when she's doing her Soylent Green like monologue, she's like, Jaden, year 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess when that is? That's 3 years from now.
We were talking about that beforehand.
And
I asked-
Soylent Green is people.
Yes.
So Lindy didn't understand what that was.
Because I looked it up and all I could find was that it was a 1973 movie about the
Yeah.
future.
Where they turn, I guess they let people die. Isn't it?
It's all I saw was like it was big
Or am I thinking
corporations
Logan's Run?
controlling power. An innocent cop discovers the truth. What was the truth?
Is Soylent Green is
Soylent
people?
Green is people.
So
Like, so-
they were eating people. So in like
Yeah.
3 years from now, we are going to be eating people.
I guess so.
We're all going to be cannibals.
Yep.
Apparently.
All right then.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
So yeah, then we go back to that leotard. I have yes, because a black leotard with a chiffon skirt is too revealing. Fuck your purity culture, Gladys. Is my note.
Well, I love that Brittany Murphy's character gave her costume.
And that my next
Well,
note.
you
is
know,
we
Dad
all,
needed me because Peter needed that kidney.
yeah, that's my next note here is we all need Elisa Swanson in our lives. You know, my parents only had me because Peter needed that kidney.
Right?
Yeah.
Not sure if our audio would have picked that up.
Oh, that's okay. You already heard it. But anyways, I think we all need a Lisa Swenson and we all need a Loretta.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, we do.
The film's original ending was actually supposed to have Gladys commit suicide in prison.
Yep.
And then the
I got
sniper librarian was actually the princess, American previous teen princess from the war.
The very first one from
Yes.
1945.
45.
Who had to give up her tiara
for scraps. And they changed it because they had negative screen tests.
Yeah.
It doesn't make I hope that there is probably other scenes that set it up to make it make sense, but right now it doesn't really make sense.
Right. In the context of the little bit that they had her, like the lutefisk and stuff, like it wasn't a lot to really make her angry at the time. So yeah, maybe that's what the negative test was. People were just like, why would she do it? Maybe that's why they changed it.
Oh, I just had one last thing here from that costume change. So you remember when she was crying, she's like, I just wanted to compete, and then obviously Lisa gives her the costume. The best line ever.
Yep.
I
Yep.
didn't
I
hear
know
for
where you're going with
years.
this. Amy Adams.
They'll never let you perform naked, I asked. And it's so, I love the way she delivers it. It's just so genuine. Like she thought that could be an option.
Well,
They
and
won't
again,
let
she's
you perform
just
naked, I
she's
asked.
so blissfully ignorant to
she's
like
blissfully dumb.
Yeah.
She just doesn't care.
Yeah.
She's cool. She's like, yeah, I love it.
But okay, I just want to say I loved Becky's outfit for her performance because I love poodle skirts. I love the 50s style. Her saddle shoes, which I've always wanted a pair of saddle shoes, were pink and sparkly.
She got a lot of flack
But
for that scene.
can we talk about the flack for that scene?
Yeah. Poor girl.
So-
and I don't blame her, but
If you guys
The
have not
poor
seen this
girl.
movie, let us describe this scene. So I don't remember what song it was to. What was it to?
can't
You're
take my
just-
eyes off.
Can't
of
take
you.
my eyes off of you. Becky comes out with
Sitting on a stool first to sing the
sitting on a
first part of the
stool.
song.
Yep.
And then when she says, can't take my eyes off of
Horribly.
you, and she points off to the stage.
And did someone like push it out? Or
Yeah.
They push out this crucified Jesus on
Stuffed
a cross.
Jesus.
Stuffed Jesus on a cross on wheels. So she can dance around with it. His hands come off of the cross because
To
they're
hug-
Velcro.
to
so
hug
they
her.
can hug her. And then they put back on the cross.
And then at the end, she's like carrying it over her shoulder
Yeah.
off the stage.
Like it was so fully blasphemous that half the extras got so offended they got up and walked off set during that performance.
yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? You know the episode of South Park where Cartman makes a Christian band?
Yeah.
All he does is changes the words from baby to Jesus, and like he
yeah.
gets the records like, it sounds like you're really in love with Christ. Well, don't you really love Christ? No, like you're in love with Christ.
That was like you were saying about the dog's photo looks like an album cover. And I said to Kevin, I'm like, from that episode of South Park where he's like,
That's right,
one of us has to look away. It was so funny.
Hey, anybody know, was that actually Kirsten Dunst tap dancing?
No, body double.
I didn't think so.
She didn't even do her own, barely did any of her own stunts and Bring It On. So I don't think she would have.
Seriously?
She doesn't have rhythm. If you ever watch her dance and Bring It On, she mentioned like she just has no rhythm. So even if you watch her actually when she does do the dancing and Bring It On, she's kind of a little more,
I have noticed it a little bit, but
little more awkward than some of the other girls.
yeah, that's true.
I have a couple of fashion moments that is followed up on the in the movie here. So much frosty eyeshadow. And let's not forget those taffeta dresses that they all wear.
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever, they were so pretty.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned here about the where is it? Basically, Leslie Miller with her phallic symbol, like power to you.
Washington
Washington
Monument.
Yeah.
Makes me Leslie
Mhm.
Miller. And she's like even grabbing the like microphone stand all sexy with her boa and everything. Yeah, she knew how to work.
She made a product dancer after just support
Right.
her dream of going to
Becoming a beauty
school.
school. Beauty school.
Wait, and here's something. Okay, so they do the pageant. They all do like that opening workout. Like basically, the pageant starts. They all have like the little headdresses.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's why we have first like Becky Lehman had like the
Mount
Washington
Rushmore?
Monument. Or no, yeah,
Yeah, Becky Lehman had Mount Rushmore.
Because take the heads, dirty,
Yeah,
dirty
Am-
mountains with heads on it.
Amber had the shape of the states with the flag. Yeah.
No matter who you are, you can become whatever you want.
My uncle's biggest ball of yarn in Bundy, Minnesota. My Fundy.
Bundy.
Bundy,
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Is I think I misunderstood the assignment.
I think I have somewhere here. I can't find it. But I'm like, oh, Tess, honey.
Right?
Oh,
You know, with your
Oh,
dog.
honey.
The beagle.
when it's like at the end of the pageant and they do like the first runner up and stuff like that. The first runner up is a $75 scholarship.
Right? What is
Hey,
that
she
going to
might
get
go
you?
to-
A book?
Hey, she goes to the boat tech of her choice, which was that beauty school at the end of the movie.
I guess.
Yes.
But what is the $75 going to
No,
get
the
her?
first runner up was Amber. That's what she got.
Yeah, it's 50.
Amy
Didn't
Adams
Les-
was the second runner up. Leslie Miller was the second runner up. I
Yeah.
forgot what she got though. I didn't write it
$50,
down.
I think.
50s.
Yeah.
50, 75, and I think 500. I think was what it was.
That's funny. 50,
Full tech of
75,
her
and
choice.
500. Like
Mm-hmm.
should have been like at
I
least
have-
like 250.
I have a line here, and I think it's from when they're doing the judging, and it just says the babysitter's dead.
And they start crying.
Yeah, it's when they're in the judging and they're like fighting about it, and then they drop some more hard R's because Harold is his name Harold?
Yeah.
Or yeah,
Harold and
Hank.
Larry.
Hank.
Okay, so Harold was that character. So like they have him around and they start fighting, and then they're like, "Why didn't you leave him with the sitter?" I feel like that babysitter's deadline was almost improvised because of how perfect how the delivery was, and then the reaction. It just seems like almost comic
I can see that. I could definitely see that.
Well, apparently they were told a little bit like they were allowed to do improvisation, and apparently Allison Janney's only line that she improvised, because she was still new to sort of acting and stuff at the time or to like the whole thing, like improvisation or whatever. And the only line she improvised was, "I got some."
I knew it was gonna be that. Oh, that's so
Only
good.
line she improvised was, "Hey, I got some."
Did you guys notice that when they announced that Rebecca Lehman won, she was holding a smaller trophy in her hand? I didn't even notice that until this first time. And then this is where I said, like, I don't know, did she?
Apparently, I was also seeing in the opening scene, if you look in the background, a couple of the girls don't have their hats on.
Yeah.
In different continuity, like scenes where they're cutting in and they're like, well, she's wearing it here, but she's not wearing it there. And
But I'm wondering if there might have been a deleted scene where she won like Miss Congeniality or something, because it's just a little trophy. So
yeah, maybe.
I feel like
She would
there
not have
is
won
a-
the Spirit Award.
well, I mean, you know what Spirit Award goes to. Oh my god, remember Tessa's Lucky Bolt?
It was hit by a DC-10.
Did she eat that Lucky Bolt for dessert?
Anyway.
I love when they interview those girls, like the quote unquote bad girls in the washroom about
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love
And they say smoking's bad for
I
you.
love the girl's hair because she's
yes,
got
the part.
the part in the middle with the bangs,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
she's got like half up in a ponytail in the back. Like that was definitely the
With
style.
like the plaid shirt and like the dark lipstick. Yeah, like I literally said here, nailed the outsider 90s look with those.
With, like the thin
That-
eyebrows on the outside. Yeah.
Pageant's like a Roach Motel. Yeah, girls check in, but they don't check out.
So in my notes, I'm at the point after the pageant. So is there anything else from the pageant?
I was gonna say I love when Amber says, "My mom always said don't eat anything that can carry its own house."
Oh, that's when they go
Talking about the
to-
Oh,
shellfish.
that's when they go. Yeah, she was talking about the.
Oh,
First
I thought you were
pageant.
talking about like
the
the pageant in
locals.
general.
Locals.
So sorry. I
The
skipped
locals.
that.
Locals, Danielle. It was the
Sorry.
locals.
the local. My bad. The local.
There was a few little fun comments that I found just from like people had written articles. I think from like the 25th anniversary or whatever. So there was like an independent, and he like it was Adam White. Praised the movie's radical departure from lighthearted teen movies of the late 1990s, stating that it was made for a generation of freaks and outsiders whose ambitions, oddities, queerness, and poverty were otherwise ignored by anything similarly mainstream or funny. Which was definitely true. Like around that time was She's All That and all the pretty girl like
It was
all
turning
rich
the ugly
kids.
girl into the pretty girl, which consisted of taking her glasses off and letting her hair down.
well, and then why did we have to become pretty girls? Why couldn't we be ourselves? Why couldn't we foster ourselves and be that way? Which I do eventually want to do an episode about like the 90s girl power rise eventually, because that's
Yeah, we'll
you
talk
know,
about that.
and because that's kind of
That's
what we
a
got
whole
from a
other
lot of these.
episode. We
right?
haven't said that
We haven't
yet.
said that yet. So because this was kind of one of those movies that sort of helped foster that in a way too, as well, was all girls, and it was and
Let
then
your hair down. You look sexy.
what?
Hair down.
Wait, you didn't take your glasses off. How dare you?
Hold on. Look at how sexy she is. You see this? Hold on. It's
Really
gotta
just
be,
frames
like,
her face.
in her hair. Doesn't that look sexy? No, she's like, fuck you.
Now
Don't-
take me to the prom.
Don't fucking touch my hair.
To the
ever again.
promenade.
To the prom.
Yeah, the promenade. Yes.
And then the
best
other
part
one.
the best part about after the the pageant is when everyone's kind of leaving, and like Leslie was so happy, like, I got second place, I got second place.
He's like, no, it's third. What?
Or like,
Second runner up is third.
yeah. Or like Lisa when she's like has her dad like, why did you drop out? And she's like, no, because like, you know, Amber should have won. And then he's all like, well, Peter wouldn't have done that. And of course, that's our favorite.
You know what, Dad? Peter's gay. Gay! Close there. My apologies.
I love Peter.
So just another one of the fun tidbit articles I've seen. It was someone from Teen Vogue stated that the girls in Drop Dead Gorgeous don't yearn to land their respective dream boy. They're too busy trying to not get clapped by a crazed mother-daughter duo and striving to break out of the confines of their small town.
Well, she even said that you don't want to end up a lifer here, right?
Yeah.
So you have a shout
And
out
then
there.
there was a lot of things. Oh, no, we haven't gotten to the ending, so we'll talk about that after.
So basically, after the pageant is like there's a
After locals, they go to
local
state.
Mhm.
No, we
Well,
forgot
after
about
Becky
the
Oh, so they go to
parade.
the
They go to
parade.
the parade.
Yes, sorry. So after the pageant is the parade.
Okay, so I have a question about this. So when what's her nuts, Becky is like at the bottom of the stairs on the big swan float, and she refuses to go up because it smells gross like gasoline, and her mom like forces her up anyway. Did Gladys kill Becky, or was that a freak accident?
I
Because of
honestly
the
think it was a free
sparkler
accident.
on the side of the float that just went
Everything-
whoosh, right?
Everything in Mexico smells like that.
Allegedly from this movie.
So-
Yeah, according to
So-
Gladys, that's what she says. So maybe it was Lelisman's Mexican workers, and they were trying to get revenge on the family, maybe somehow, because they had to make the float.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though, like you've already been told it smells like gasoline, so why would you be lighting it up? So I think it's just Gladys
Idiot.
being stupid
Because she's
because
ignorant.
obviously
She cares more about appearance than safety.
exactly, and of course I don't think she was
Karen.
obviously responsible because you know the whole swan ate my baby scene.
But I
It
love
should
that
have
she
been
goes,
you up
she
there.
goes absolutely insane and she confesses to all of her murders, which people think was Becky at this point. It was Gladys. Ding, fries her up.
Yeah,
Ding,
it
fries
says
her
right there, ding, fries her up. I love when the mayor just claps when the swans burn. He's just like,
Yeah, just stand in the stands, just clapping like he's like,
So that mayor, he has to first complain about the Frida sign. Then he sings the Mount Rose American Teen Princess song, and then he
Yeah.
claps at the swan.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
the mayor
He's
of Mount Rose, that seems really easy.
He's a classy mayor. Classy mayor. Just
His
great.
furniture's as fake as my orgasm.
And
they
then
come
when
over-
that bitch better watch her back. I got
I got-
friends on the inside.
And then she-
the dreams.
Yeah.
I love the eulogy where her dreams of riding a swan were were related to her untimely death. I guess that's your way of telling us to buy American.
Yeah.
The way Lindy looked, I think she missed that.
Sure did.
You know, when the mayor's saying it.
Yep,
Yeah.
sure did. Missed
It
that.
wasn't the mayor,
Which-
it was like the funeral.
Oh, funeral, which was also the name of one of their pageants. Buy American. USA is A-OK.
Can you remember your favorite?
Can I? I can. I don't know where I come up with them. It's just a gift from God.
Loretta takes a lot of pictures of the back of Amber's head, and we used to
Amber's
make
head
jokes
for
about
some
that.
reason.
I did catch that. I
And
thought that
the
was
best part about that scene where she's like, where basically Loretta's like, no, good things don't always happen to, or good, like shitty things happen to good people. And sometimes you just got to take it the way it is. Like you didn't win,
Oh.
you should have won. And she'd like this. And so take it the way it is. She's like, well, I didn't want to win this way, you know?
Yeah, good things happen to good people. No, that's all bullshit, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
Airport Hojo. Oh, that's later when
Oh,
I check the
Airport!
state. Right by the
airport. That's when they're going to nationals. No, state.
So at this point, obviously, we've gone from like now Becky's dead, we got Gladys in prison, and now
They're
Amber's
going to
dead.
state. What-
And her mom now has a hook for her hand.
Yep.
She
it
has
was-
to practice opening her beer.
But she did it.
She
Yep,
did it.
I did it.
She did it. She should have just shotgunned it.
Right. So when they pull up at nationals, and they're unloading the hearse or whatever.
Yeah.
If you look
Not
off to the side, to the side, there's actually like a Lincoln in the background,
Mhm.
which this is supposed to take place in 1995,
Yeah.
and it's actually like a 1998 Lincoln in the background.
Oh, whoa.
There was a tiny little mess up there, but
One of the I can't remember the other actors, but one of the actresses, like there's two ladies who are the Minnesotan Mount Rose, or no, not Mount Rose, Minnesotan teen,
no, the Minnesota
board.
Modeling Academy.
And they're the state board for the
Oh,
pageant.
Minnesota Academy State Board.
So one of them is Nora Dunn from
Mhm.
SNL. I just don't remember who the other one is. But again, when I was
The other one was she's
In
a character
Stunts.
actor in a lot of like
She was in that 70s show, wasn't it?
yeah, she
Yeah,
was
okay.
Bob's girlfriend for a while.
Yeah.
I just feel bad because I just don't know her name. But the two of them, you could tell they had chemistry.
Mhm.
And there is a scene in the trailer that was not in the movie, which tells me that they probably did a lot of improvising. Remember in the trailer, they're like by a pool and like the Marco Polo, and then she's talking about like, oh, that girl, she must have her boobs done. You know, they do that at birth now.
Yeah.
Like, that was a joke they had.
Interview when they're doing their interview with the camera guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I said, if anybody who works at New Line Cinemas, Lana Williams, I don't know who, if you can get me like all the footage of those deleted scenes or like all those ad lib stuff that didn't make the final cut, or do a director's cut of how you wanted it to be, I would be so grateful for that.
Right? Like a 30th. Oh my God, I don't want to say it, but a 30th anniversary.
No, 25th hasn't happened yet. It came out in 99. So
99?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, okay, no. Okay, then it was 20th I was looking at. So 25th anniversary, maybe that's what they should do, you know, special DVD or, you know. And it's funny, it's hard to find it on streaming. It's actually not available anywhere except for Hulu in the States.
Netflix UK.
Netflix UK, because I have on my Google, if I can't find things on the streaming I have my Google Play or whatever, I'll go things in there and try to buy them, or I'll put them on my favorites list to see when they become available. And that one's even says not available anywhere in your region. And I was like, grrr! So I had to borrow it from Lindy.
Which she
So
brought back to my place yesterday, so I could watch it this morning. Yeah.
so then now we're at the Minnesotan like the state pageant.
Yeah.
So we're introduced to a bunch of people. Like you can kind of feel
Miss
like
Burnsville.
Amanda
Burnsville.
Dimmer. She's Marty in Big Fat Liar.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Minneapolis. She's from Minneapolis. Yeah.
Oh, I don't feel so good.
Oh, can I just say I fucking hate vomit scenes like that.
I agree.
Like, I don't mind off-screen vomiting, but just like
the projectile and when it's showing.
I literally was like this while I'm like watching. I'm just like, oh my god, is it done yet?
But the funny thing is, it's supposed to be mockumentary, so that was like it
So
makes sense with the thing.
Yeah, it's expected because that's what happened. But fuck, I hate
Yeah, and then we'll touch back to what Lindy said
beauty
earlier.
queens,
Juju and properly
blowing
refrigerated
chunks everywhere.
shellfish.
Yeah, I got that line right there. Fucking
Yeah.
beauty queens blowing chunks everywhere.
Right?
Where Lindy was going back earlier about the oh, I don't eat shellfish. Mom always told me never to eat anything that carries its food. You don't know the last time.
Don't eat anything that can carry its own house around. You don't know where it's been. Like that's a pretty good rule to have, I think. So I don't like shellfish. I like shrimp and calamari. That's about it. I don't really like shellfish.
No.
But can I just say, like, okay, so they all vomited, they all got sick, and Amber was crowned.
And they were not staying overnight.
They were not staying overnight, so they had
Like
8
originally,
hours
yes.
to rehearse and like do the pageant. But because everybody got sick, they basically like
Canceled process of elimination for the only one who
and
was
Amber won. So in both stages of these pageants, Amber won by
default.
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 The other thing I love the line is when everyone starts puking, you can hear a loop line from Allison Janney, like, do you think they heard us?
Yeah.
she was hitting on the before everyone started puking, she's like hitting on these guys in the bar.
When the modeling girls are doing the interviews, you can see her in the background, like
hitting on
the guys and stuff like that at the bar. Yeah.
We all need a Loretta in our life.
Yeah.
Yes.
That bitch from Wisconsin. There it is right there.
Yep.
Hi monkey, I got some.
So like
Oh,
so all these 50 girls, right after they're done being sick and get out of the hospital,
Well,
they vote on. Well, because they'd be states, right?
No, this one's national. This one's like the state,
state.
not national. It's the state of Minnesota. So it's all the cities of Minnesota that were.
So why would Amanda Detmer's character be Minnesota?
She's
no,
Minneapolis.
she's Minneapolis.
She's Minneapolis. Well,
Yeah.
you said Minnesota earlier, so that's why I was.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, so all of these girls that are in the pageant after they've done vomiting and they get out of the hospital from fucking food poisoning and shit, they get back on a coach bus and get taken to the Sarah Cosmetics building, even though it's closed.
Well, that's for
And it was-
nationals.
No, that's
That's nationals. When
That's
they
what I
go
was
to that-
talking about. But then
No, I think it sounded like the way you were sounding. It sounded like you were confusing, like combining nationals and the state together. I think. That's
yeah,
what
I
you
know.
were
I thought we had moved on from state.
Oh,
Because we got to the vomiting scene. That's like basically at the end, and we talked about how she got crowned by default.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
basically the next scene is like them
Sarah Rose
on the
Cosmetics.
bus. That's where I thought we were.
They well, there is one little scene before the
Yeah,
bus
Before
where
she goes to the
they
bus.
talk about they're gonna dust the crops and then fly Amber down to Alabama to compete. And she's wearing that cute peasant dress, which is kind of all the
Oh, is
rage
that
back
where her
then.
mom opens the beer with a claw?
Yeah,
Right there. Okay.
right
Yeah.
before that. And
I
yeah,
wasn't in the head. I apologize.
it's like that she's all that type of dress. You know
Yeah.
what dress.
Yeah.
So essentially she makes it to the finals, and then the bus drives up to the Sarah Rose Cosmetics building. And I did mention something here that I think is hilarious. Does anyone else feel like the Sarah Rose Cosmetics was probably an MLM, hence the tax evasion? MLMs are multi-level marketing, like a
Pyramid
Avon.
scheme,
I feel like it was probably similar to like a Mary Kay type.
but
thing
it
or
lasted
whatever.
50 years.
Yeah, tax evasion can catch up with you long
Ew.
time.
Eventually, eventually we'll catch
Yeah.
up to you for sure.
Just the whole aesthetic of that building just reminded me of like 1980s Mary Kay. So you're
Oh,
not
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
Like that's what I said. Mary Kay, like it was very
Yeah.
the pink and the flowers and the
yeah.
and it's funny how all the girls just go ape shit on it because they're so mad that there's no pageant
Yeah,
and they
just throw
destroy
a
everything.
tantrum. And Amber's the only one that's just like, oh, fuck this, and gets
Well,
back on the bus.
Because I feel like at this point she's like, I have been
Disappointed
fucked
so
at every
much.
point in this. Why is this
Yeah.
any
Like
different?
it was such a roller coaster of emotions of like a journey for
Like,
her.
she wanted to win and then she didn't win, but then she won by default, and then she got to state, and then everyone puked, and again she won by default, and she's like, here, she's like, oh well, maybe I might stand a chance, and then it's like there is no pageant, and she's like,
Oh fuck.
well, that's of course so my luck, like that's how it's been fucking going this whole time, you know.
Why not?
Why not?
Why
That's just
not?
how the
Go
end of it would
figure,
be,
right?
yeah.
I feel like if this movie came out today, it could literally just stop there. We don't need that extra little happy ending. Like it literally could just stop there. Like, yep.
Oh,
Sarah
it
Rose
rounds
Cosmetics.
off where like with the
Oh, what-
sharpshooter at
Well,
the
it's kind of nice to know what everyone does with
what
Oh, yeah,
happens
but
to
just-
everybody.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice to know what happens to everybody. And there's a lot of things I was reading about when Amber like takes the thing, and they were just reading about like, yeah, like that so seems like an actual progression. Like not that she was like hungry too much, but she was just like, well, the opportunity not, because she had been screwed so many times, and it's like, well, this
She's
woman's
like,
dead.
yeah, I'm
Guess
gonna
what?
take my opportunity.
I'm used to
and-
doing this every time someone passes away or something shitty happens. I'm used to doing it.
And
so,
she's around death all the time because she works in a funeral home.
right.
Of course.
Like,
So
I don't think we
the
mentioned
end
that
of-
yet.
Yeah.
The end of it. So essentially, after that, it kind of goes to like what you were saying, like what happens, like to a couple of the characters afterwards.
Yeah.
So we know that Leslie Miller ends up rolling into beauty college and then works as a
Exotically.
stripper.
Exotic
And I
dancer.
say sex work is real work.
Which in the
Um,
States, that's not nudity.
No.
There's no
Oh, God, no.
nudity.
If you're a gentleman's club, there
Maybe.
is, but a strip club, like what our like Roxanne's kind of is
Yeah.
like, no, it's like bathing suits.
No
basically.
boobies.
Basically boobs.
You need to come
Yeah,
to Canada
regardless.
for that.
Bathing suits.
You can watch a Canadian woman strip down to her pelt.
Okay, so then after that, and then she's like missing in Thailand. I went dark maybe because I have a dark sense of humor, and I was like, oh no, was she like you human trafficked out of her sex work, which is a whole other thing about how sex workers need to be protected. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah,
I like your
that's
guys'
already that.
idea
It's
better.
already like
We're almost done anyways here,
Yeah,
but I
I
like
know.
your guys' idea better. Where she's like, I just wanted to go to Thailand. And then after that, we realize obviously that Gladys broke out of jail and is now on top of.
how did she
Chicken
break
place.
out of jail? I want an extra deleted scene of that.
Yeah, like how did, or explain how she actually got
Yeah.
out of jail.
Like how'd she
Um,
say that?
I love that she's
I
on the
don't know.
top. She's like, you trailer park trash.
The fucking
Brother,
sharpshooter.
6
Like,
hour
I don't know.
standoff,
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then obviously, finally, our Amber Atkins gets her comeuppance, and unfortunately-
WAZB News. But here's the thing.
And then she has
So,
Diana Sawyer hair.
the girl
Yeah.
who was, when she picks up the microphone, it's a K station,
Mhm.
which is West Coast.
yeah,
When she's working at it, it's WAZB News. And I understand it's a 6 hour standoff, but how did a local how did a station from the West Coast get to Minnesota so fast that it would be a K station, K broadcasted station?
You lost.
I understand exactly what you mean, and I just think it's probably something they should have.
I never noticed it until watching it like literally yesterday or the other day, Friday night when I was watching it. That's the only time I know, like I never noticed it before. But I was listening, I was like, Why is it like unless the borderline is like Minnesota and then the next state over maybe
Oh,
is
probably.
a
I think
K or
Montana.
something, but I don't know for sure. I'd have to look it up. But I was just like, that's interesting because how would they get like if it's like California or Oregon, how would they get there so fast?
Yeah, or Washington. The one other like note I just had at the end here, which we don't really have to go on too much about, which is kind of like the fact that she keeps name dropping Diane Sawyer. Diane Sawyer. One thing I remembered is with the whole Free Britney thing is the whole Diane Sawyer interview. Remember how bad that was? If you've watched it recently,
I haven't seen that yet. The Free Britney? I haven't seen it yet.
But basically, it's just kind of funny because she like wants to be Diane Sawyer, and I mean Diane Sawyer definitely broke down barriers, and it just shows how far we've come since then. Like it's been awesome.
It was also like sometimes the females, as much as they wanted to break down barriers, they still had to play certain parts of the game.
Yeah,
which it sucks on their like.
If you want to win the game, you got to play it,
and it does. They probably felt bad sometimes too, but they're just like, this is you're trying to do your thing, and I really want to do my thing.
It sucks that you have to complicate your morals sometimes to get ahead in this game because you're a woman.
Oh, well, and especially it's so male dominated. Especially news was so male dominated at the time. Like same like I don't think Oprah was as much, but she was the same thing. She probably had to be so forceful because of her being a Black woman in the news at that time. Like she probably had to do some things that she wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of, but not necessarily compromise herself too much, but still just be like, no, I gotta play the game a little bit.
It's a miracle if you get in and out of that industry without complicating your morals at all.
At some point,
at some point.
Finding your way back is fine, but at some point you might. So one thing I also found that was really, I don't know if this was actually true. It was in an article. Someone says this is what he said, but people are like, well, I don't know how much of it. But I guess one of the producers of the film, I don't got the last name, Pallone. I can't remember his first name. Apparently he found himself intrigued by the complicated mother-daughter relationships depicted. He arrived at the idea of a TV series that would explore another mother-daughter who were close in age, though less of a mess, from anyone who dropped it gorgeous, and pitched the concept to writer Amy Sherman Palladino. Apparently he says Gilmore Girls wouldn't exist if I had not produced that movie. However, tenuous the correlation, there is a direct link from Drop Dead Gorgeous to a 7-season long critically acclaimed TV series. So there is the possibility that like the Drop Dead Gorgeous has some correlation to Gilmore Girls because of that mother-daughter relationship stuff. So
well, if that's true, thank you, Pallone.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Thanks for that.
And thanks for going Amy Sherman Palladino and bringing it to the table.
And then, of course, let's not forget the final song in the movie is Love Is All Around by Joan Jett. It is such a good song.
Turn the world on with your smile.
Take a nothing day, suddenly make it all seem worthwhile.
We're gonna make it after all.
So overall, I think it's a fantastic movie.
It was definitely underrated for its time.
Oh, for sure. Like it hasn't even made enough to make back its budget yet.
I know it's found cult status, so I don't know if
because its total gross to like this day is like only like 10.5 million.
Maybe they should put it on streaming services and then maybe more people would watch it.
There you go. Exactly. Streaming. Hashtag Drop Dead Gorgeous on streaming.
Yeah.
Putting it out there.
Let's start that hashtag trend, shall we?
Putting it on out there.
Well, how about we start the trend when we post it, when we post the episode.
Right. But I don't know if you also remember around this time, like 99, 2000s, also when a bunch of other movies about beauty pageants came out as well. So you also had Miss Congeniality in 2000. You had that one Beautiful.
With the one with Minnie Driver.
With Minnie Driver, yeah.
Pretty sure there was a Jomini Ramsey movie.
I don't think
that happened in '96. Sure, 3 years later, it had to be a movie about it.
And it was funny. I was when I Love Dumpling that came out on Netflix or whatever.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. It's on my list.
As watching it, you're just kind of like, I could see a lot of similarities to Drop Dead Gorgeous. They've taken somewhat like they probably watched it as a kid and was like, okay, I need to take my part and do it this way because you see that similarity, especially. But I love it. You should definitely watch it. It's so good.
And then it's just kind of like at this day and age, like I think the beauty contest.
2000. February 2000 was the first Jean Bonnet movie.
Okay, Getting Away with Murder.
I guess we'll end it there.
Yeah, so we'll end it there. So yeah, that's our Drop Dead Gorgeous episode.
If you haven't seen it, please see it. It's so good.
Yes, unfortunately, it's not on many streaming services unless you have Hulu in the States. But if your friend has it on DVD or if you can find it at your local Walmart, probably in the $5 bin, I think at this point or something. Amazon might have it.
Maybe in a city, not if you're in like in a town or anything and you have a Walmart, probably check out a city Walmart.
But you should definitely check it out.
Or online.
And then you should check us out. And then our lovely guest, my sister.
She's got some handles that she wants to flow to.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Willow Wannabe. with
Or
one N.
Danny Evelyn Nails, because she's got her nail tech certificating going on
Yeah.
right now.
If you're up
So
in Nova Scotia listening to us, you should
you
check
best
her
give
out.
her a
Her
little
work is
holla.
awesome. Her work is awesome.
Nail
Yeah, so
person.
Danny Evelyn Nails is also another Instagram where I post my work as well. But yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Danielle.
Yes, so we had lots of fun. It was very great. And
I figured we spent half of this thing just quoting the movie anyways, and let's be honest,
Right.
that's just what we did.
We
Well-
actually didn't talk in the accent as much as I thought we would have.
right,
If you're 17 and you're not a total fry,
it's just what you do.
Ooh.
Just what you do.
All right, bye.
All right,
All right.
talk to you later.
So yeah, so that was Danielle saying goodbye. So you guys have an awesome night. We'll talk to you in our next episode.
We'll see you later and catch us on the socials and on the flip flop.
We'll get better, I promise.
Bye.
Bye.